What's good, guys? Hope you're having a chill day. Today I wanted to share some tips that help prepare me to make that interview process go a little more smoothly and help kind of relieve that nervousness before that big day. It's a bit awkward and different to do interviews online with the many distractions we have nowadays, and just talking with a stranger on the screen for the first time can be a little intimidating rather than seeing someone in person and greeting them physically. But that's okay. Here are the 7 helpful tips that help me land careers at Apple and Google. So let's get started. Tip number 1, how to get that interview. So how do you get that interview in the first place? Once you have built that solid resume outlining your experiences or polished website showcasing your latest work for artists and designers, you can then start applying to job opening positions. A great way to do this is to reach out to recruiters online via LinkedIn or email. LinkedIn can be a powerful tool to help you find and connect with professionals all over the world. You could simply type in something like recruiter at Nike or recruiter at Meta Facebook on the search bar, and a couple of options would come up. Keep in mind that's a 50% chance that a recruiter will reply back because of the many emails they probably receive on a daily basis, but hey, it doesn't hurt to shoot your shot. Also, if you have access to your school too, they usually have large catalogs of company emails that you could reach out and take advantage of. My school had a special website platform for alumni and recent graduates that we could go back to, talk amongst each other, reach out for help, or even just check for up-to-date job opportunities and openings. But if you don't have access to these, that's okay. Google, Apple, and other large companies are always posting job opportunities on their website or even on LinkedIn. Here's a few links, and I'll also write it down in the description below that you can check out afterwards. So for emailing and messaging to recruiters, what usually helps me is to create an interchangeable template that you can swap out the name, the position, and other useful information that can save you time. The only part you want to spend more time and put a little more love and effort in is talking more specifically about the company and the job position and why you want to apply. Make sure to spell check when you reach out to recruiters, and an app that helps me is Grammarly, where you can download as a Chrome browser, and it can help highlight and make your grammar a little bit better throughout the day, because sometimes I even get mixed up with the there and yours. Also, don't forget to add any necessary attachments like your resume or website links to your email so the recruiters can click on it very quick and easily. Your goal is to make the recruiter's life as easy as possible, so make sure to include any contact information in case the recruiter wants to reach out, like your full name, your email, your phone number, and website at the very bottom. Tip number 2, audio, video, and background quality. One of the most important things when having a digital interview is to have a solid internet connection. No matter how good you present yourself or have nice flowing conversation, a bad internet signal can catch you off guard and make your interviewee impatient, eventually cutting your interview short. The key is to have a very seamless and smooth interview session that grants you plenty of free time at the end to ask any follow-up questions. Understand that not everyone has a good internet connection at their home, so going to a local coffee shop or a quiet space in a library will do just the trick. So audio is really important, and the safe way to get really crisp audio without any background interference is to use earphones with microphones attached to it. So if you're using the speakers on your laptop, sometimes it can create these weird echoing sounds or even pick up the clicks on your keyboard or mouse that might be distracting to your interviewer. But I found out that headphones and earphones will help dull out that sound and really focus on your voice. Headphones work just as well, but from my experience, I really like using the earphones that used to come with your iPhones because it's so lightweight, simple, and easy to wear for long durational times. After you have your audio crisp and clear, the next thing to think about is the distance between you and the camera. A good friend of mine told me this helpful tip that the best distance is at arm's length. Reach out and have your fingertips slightly touching the camera be your guide, and this frames you in a really nice position in terms of having nice negative space on top and framing your chest upward. You don't want your camera too far away from you where you become blurry and in the darkness, and also you don't want to be too up close where parts of your face gets cropped and kind of makes your interviewee uncomfortable. So the perfect distance and background ratio will kind of be like this, where it's in the middle ground. We also sometimes forget about our background, and this may seem a little random, but this could also lead to a distraction for the interviewee. Just take mine for example. You know, there's some cameras, there's a messy drawer in the background, and I also have a cat that might be just jumping all over the place. We want to limit that as much as possible, and the safest thing I found was just to choose a blank wall so the interviewee can just focus on you and your work and experience. Tip number 3, dress for the occasion. This one's pretty simple. Whether you're an engineer, designer, or in the business field, wear a collared shirt or a nice sweater. Have your hair done to look your most presentable self, and wear a nice top because they're only going to see you from the torso upwards. So no beanies and no hats. Uniqlo is a great source to pick up some quality and affordable clothing, as it has a lot of arrangements of affordable wear like tops, sweaters, and button-ups. A good thing to think about is what your future colleagues would wear. Are they going to be more formal, or are they going to be a little more semi-casual formal? Keep it similar to that vibe, but slightly elevated. Even though in video interviews they can only see you from the top up, what really helps me is dressing fully, for example to your pants, to your socks, to your shoes. This makes me feel like I'm on top of things and has a formal feeling that I'm actually in the office doing a physical interview meeting. Tip number 4, greeting, posture, and confidence. Greeting and introducing yourself might be one of the most important things, as it really sets the beginning of the tone and gives you momentum throughout the interview. Keep in mind that your working resume has passed their test and you're completely qualified for the role. Now they're just trying to get to know your vibe and how well and situated you're going to be with the team. Something that helped me that I use every time in the beginning of an interview is something like, "Hey Michelle, thanks again for setting this meeting up. I'm super excited to be talking with you." This opening statement is a nice icebreaker because it's clear, simple, and eases that awkwardness when you first see each other in the interview and kind of don't know what to say. Also, probably the hardest thing that I work on still to this day is whenever I get nervous and lose trace of the dots, I use a lot of ums and likes. Instead of using a lot of ums and likes, I learned that it's okay to pause and answer back with the "that's a great question" to give yourself a little time buffer to come up with a response. Try not to pause for too long, but a second or two can help a lot. Your posture and smile can also showcase your confidence as well. What helped me to set a good tone throughout the interview is to constantly remind myself to straighten my back and smile every so often. Although we all get nervous, take advantage that it is a video call, so do things that the video can't see. For example, twiddle your finger under your desk or whatever it is to help ease that nervousness. Tip 5, doing your research. So doing your research on your company can help in so many ways. I found that it gives you a better sense of the work, the culture, and the people in the company you're interviewing for. It can also give you a leg up with a lot of information you have stored in your pocket if the interviewer asks you, "Why do you want to work at a place like this?" When I was interviewing for Google Creative Lab in New York, I found that one of the founders was an immigrant and his parents used to own an Asian restaurant similar to my background. This was such a cool find and I brought it up during that interview, and this led to a really fun and interesting conversation. For research, check out your company's website's bio page or even scroll through Google to check if there's any articles written about them. Also take advantage of LinkedIn, as a lot of companies post the latest news on there, and you can also see who works there too. Tip number 6, ask good closing questions. Be ready for questions throughout the interview and asking good closing questions at the end. Usually at the end, they're gonna ask you if you have any questions for them, so really dig deep and ask questions you're really curious about. Good questions to ask your interviewer can be examples like, "How do you like your experience working at the company?" or "What does a typical day look like?" Other questions to ask back can be like, "What projects are currently ongoing?" or "What are you most excited about that's happening right now at the company?" This could give your interviewer a chance to open up and share their experience and their thoughts. Asking good questions at the end will help open up additional information, make you stand out, and really showcase that you're really interested in working at that company. And to finish it off, tip number 7, practice makes perfect. You can never go wrong with practicing too much. My professor taught us a trick that a good way to practice is to look at yourself in the mirror and ask questions and answer it back. Don't get me wrong, it's kind of weird to look at yourself in the mirror and it can kind of catch you off guard and you can blank out, but this can also be a simulation of what an actual interview will look like, because you're going to see someone for the first time and you also will get nervous. So the more you practice looking at yourself in the mirror during that weird awkward situation, the more confidence you'll build up. I still get nervous and sometimes stutter and blank out during interviews, so the more I practice the mirror technique, it really did help me during the actual interview itself. Questions that always get me are the more personal ones, like what are your best traits, how well do you work in groups, and when is the last time you overcame a difficult situation during a project and how did you overcome that. So make sure to dig deep and practice on those ones. Bonus tips. So some bonus tips in interviews I do before every interview is, the first one is exercise. I usually do an exercise, whether it's running or walking or hiking, before the interview to kind of get all of that nerve and anxiousness out. I tend to have a lot of pent up energy and jitters if I don't exercise, and this might cause my mind to race or me to kind of stutter. So doing a hike or simple walking around the block really helps to calm my nerves. Definitely try this one out. Another trick is hot tea or water. This might just be me, but drinking something warm really calms me down and keeps me in zen mode. I love coffee, but that kick of caffeine really gets me hyper, so tea is a really good alternative to keep you awake but not so energized. Last trick is an interesting one. 30 to 40 minutes before every interview, I close all of my apps, no distractions, and just stare at my screen and meditate. And you know, it might not work for you, but I do it all the time to get my head straight and clear. So interviews, right? This is something that we always dread and get nervous on all the time. Especially during the pandemic, we're doing these awkward video calls that we're not really used to. I still have problems and I'm constantly learning new ways to get better at interviews, but the tips I shared really helped me along the way. Keep in mind that my experiences are in the design and creative field, so the process may not be 100% similar to all industries, but you could definitely take bits and pieces of these tips and apply it to whatever career you're pursuing. Also, feel free to leave a comment down below or send me an email if you have any further questions about interviewing or my process applying to Apple and Google. I'll be more than happy to answer anything. If you guys found this video helpful, please leave a like. If you guys want to see more videos like these, please subscribe. I'll greatly appreciate it. Stoked for you to push yourself and get those interviews, and hope these tips help you out along the way. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.